Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Thursday. Yes, a Thursday, 2 days before the day after tomorrow of CPI, and we're right back exactly where we were 2 days ago. So very, very fun stuff, but an actual trap situation starting to happen in front of our very eyes. Spoke about this briefly on my morning Instagram update, and we'll go into detail right here on this video, of course. So with that in mind, I want to let you know that we have a little bit less than a day left on the summer sale. Of course, don't rush into anything. We have sales, throughout the year. And with that in mind, if you're looking for information on any one of the programs or indicators, you can find them in the promotional videos in the Krown Trading app. And then if it's not clear from there, what I would suggest is to email the support at crowntrading.net, and one of our lovely ladies will answer your questions. But these should, more or less get it, especially with the TA program, the options program. These are very long, so I just want to make sure that, the people who are considering them, they actually, you know exactly what you're getting into, of course, because it will be a time commitment and a financial commitment as well. All right, sweet. So let's just jump into it right now. Bitcoin on the short-term timeframes. I want to follow up on this. Yesterday, we looked at the CPI event as a nice little catalyst, and what do you know? We get a liquidity grab into both ends of the medium-term time frame range. Now, here's the thing. There is a trap situation going on in front of our very eyes right now that is still awaiting validation, but I'd say that for right now, it is looking, more or less good. Well, good for the trap, maybe not so much for the trapeze, the trapeze or the trappers. I don't know. Anyways, in this case, we do see that hidden bearish divergence starting to formulate on the lower term timeframes. I believe all the way up to a 3-hour will be confirmed with a closure here or lower. That one's going to be happening in about 2 hours, 21 minutes and 6 seconds. So, a lot of time to be fair. But that can obviously bleed on over into the 4-hour as well between this high right here and this little stutter step of a high that we did see just a couple days ago, or actually 3 days ago on, I believe, Monday on the 11th. So ultimately, if that does get confirmed, again, especially with a closure below like 19,900 on very, very low term timeframes, then yeah, I'd be looking at another swipe of the lows. Now, here's the thing. We also see that stochastic momentum is going to be corroborating the story very, very likely, as any sort of a 4-hour closure below 19,400 will turn it back down. But you can see that even on that little bounce that we did get yesterday from the CPI reads, it's not really doing all that much. I mean, how do I explain this concept? It's like what my mentor used to say. He used to say, it's like we're pedaling, but we're not getting anywhere. And you can see that momentum is being carried up right here as we discussed yesterday for a likely bounce, but there's no ranges being broken. There's no reversals being confirmed as of right now. So it does, does present the opportunity for a bit of a trap. I wonder if CME is actually similar here as well. Yeah, relatively similar, a little bit lower than that to be fair. So perhaps one more drive around our current lows, but I would be looking for another bounce around there actually. So the trap is only relevant for the short-term timeframes as it is right now. If you start to see closures below 19,000 bucks though, well, you can kiss your trap goodbye and open up the fucking trap door and probably down to like 18.5 after that, and very likely and then very likely 17.5 I think it was that we looked at from yesterday. Anyways, in this case, I imagine that the hourly is also turning down, and we will be having downside momentum as long as Bitcoin is closing hourlies below 20,300. Buy hourly is also going to be showing downside below 20,050. That's 20,050. So that's another hour and 19 minutes left to go. So a lot of time to be fair. And then the 3-hour will also be turning down below about 19,900. So I do like that 19,900 level for the very, very short term timeframes. And then of course we have to start to consider what's happening on the medium and higher term timeframes, which we did identify a major pivot on the daily stochastic momentum oscillator yesterday for both CME and spot price action. Spot price action is actually going to be the correct one in this case. The reason why I say that is because we can see the continuation levels from today. Daily stochastic momentum will continue with downside below 21,600. I'll kind of break and moving average on this as well. This is not like, I actually have found a lot of value in this recently, but not something that I've really spoken about publicly. But if we do align with the CME, you'll quickly notice that these levels are kind of aligned with each other. $21,000 can be a very, 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 very big area on price action. So with that in mind, as long as Bitcoin's below there, it is pressure to the downside. And with low volatility reads like this, you do have to consider, at least I have to consider, the possibility of an actual break of the general range that Bitcoin's been living in for what seems like more than a month now, which has been more than a month. Also, we can draw a nice little line coming in right around here. Not that I prefer to draw lines like this or put too much emphasis on this, but ultimately this would be a rejection, basically around the neutral zone with downside momentum to be yet again alongside volatility looking for expansion, on some rather powerful timeframes, I would say. Other than that, do we have anything as far as funding rates go? Literally zero, literally fucking zero. So no edge to be gained right there. Did work pretty damn well the last few days for very, very short-term moves, but we're really starting to squeeze, water from rocks at this point. So I do think that at this point, the best indication would be an actual range break. So what could we actually say for the short-term timeframes, or come up with something a little bit more well-defined right here? Well, in this case, I've actually kind of already gone ahead and done it. For the very, very short-term timeframes, 19,900 going to be an area of interest. Closures below there, very likely do get test down around, yesterday's like $19,000 range, and closures below $19,000. I would be looking for. I think we're working off this chart. Yeah, I would be looking for continuation. No, what's this chart over here? Yeah, I would be looking for continuation to the one spot 618 Fibonacci extension, which would be at about 17,500. This is only relevant for higher-term timeframe closures, so. Particularly below about 19,000 bucks. If that happens, yep, very likely looking at somewhere around mid 17s with a stop around 18,400 in the short-term timeframes, perhaps. Other than that, let's talk about the other side of this equation. So. Bitcoin can still come back down here and then have a bit of a bounce. That's definitely possible. But ultimately, where do things actually start to change around? More importantly, for the higher term timeframes, where this starts to look like a very, very powerful low actually, and upside, dare I say, imminent. Well, in this case, I'd have to be looking at the daily pivot that we did see earlier on the stochastic momentum oscillator, which is about 21,000 bucks. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, hard to get super hard about price action right now. And then also what I could say is if you are just looking for a short-term sort of red flag warning, kind of like we had yesterday at 19.7, which worked pretty damn well, I'd be saying the same thing basically at today's high at well, let's actually dial it in a little bit more here. Yeah, an hourly above about 20,400 probably gets a test somewhere reasonably close to like 28 or 21,000 bucks. Sorry, that's not $28,000. That's 20,850 actually. And then of course I do want to bring this back up as well, simply because I do think that is interesting, but and I think it's worthwhile to talk about. But I shouldn't even put my opinion on it. Okay, so this is the pi cycle high and low indicator. For the people who have been asking, where do you find this indicator? You literally just type in pi cycle low on TradingView Library. It's crazy how that works out. Anyways, why do I keep on bringing this one up? Because it's been pretty damn consistent at calling the past couple macro cycle lows, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4 of the macro cycle highs. Last one, I would argue, not the best one to be fair from a timing perspective, because Bitcoin did eventually pop back up, put in a more than 50% run to the upside, and made a new all-time high by more than 15%. So, I know that some people have some interesting things to say about that. I would have to disagree. I mean, I don't think that it timed it all that well, but generally speaking, around the price levels, it has been pretty fucking good. The thing is that it did call a pi cycle low on yesterday's closure. I think it was, or maybe it was the day before that. Whatever it was, it did happen in the last 48 hours. And if we go down here to the daily, where this actually does get confirmed, you can see that, it is in there, right? It is not, however, at the actual low. You can see that Bitcoin obviously wicked lower and closed lower in middle of January on the 18th, of course. So with that in mind, I'm going back here in the annals of history, and I want to show that in 2018, it did get the low basically to the tick. I mean, that's about as close you're going to get in terms of timing it. Now, in 2014 and 2015 on a daily right here, and I'm on the index, by the way, it did not. It got very close. It did get it on the weekly. It was the correct weekly read. But on the daily, if we really nail it down, it actually happened 3 days or 2 days before the ultimate mega low right there, macro low, if you will, where the green and the red cross each other. Those are the two moving averages in question. And of course, happening here on the 12th of January doesn't look that bad in comparison to the actual low, but when you measure it out, that is a 38.5% move to the downside from that area. So just because it might be getting it very, very well in terms of timing, which I'm keeping my own opinion back from this, by the way. You can make your own decision for yourself whether this is relevant to you or not. For me, it's not, because I don't trade like this. I don't trade time frames like this. I don't give a fuck about time frames like this. If I was an investor, I would. But in this case right here, let's just play around with numbers. What if Bitcoin did dump 30.5% from that low? Well, that would put Bitcoin like at 12,000 bucks actually. So Is that still a consideration? Is there still a risk to the downside? Well, of course, if Bitcoin closed below about $19,000, yeah, I do think so over time. Well, extremely likely $17,500. I even think 16 would be in the scope as well. But in this case right here, until that happens, does Bitcoin more or less likely get a bounce after playing out a bit of a short-term trap? Probably. If we go over here to the 5-day, we will very likely notice that it is going to be closing today, I think. Hold on, let me just double check. Yes, it is closing today. And what I really want to see if Bitcoin is going to actually still bounce to the upside out of this range in a highly probabilistic fashion is I want to see the 5-day stochastic close above the momentum pivot, which is 19,100 right here. And that will again be confirmed at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, if Bitcoin does close above that level. If it doesn't, then, well, that is not a confirmed signal. And the reason why I keep on pointing out this signal, amongst other signals, but this one being that it is the higher term time frame, means that it does take precedence over the others, so I don't really feel the need to talk about them, is that we've really only seen the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator come down to this green horizontal bar a few times in Bitcoin's history. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prior times, not counting our current 7th iteration. And the average historical bounce from that region has been about 58.25%. There has actually not been that much variance in them, or at least on the lower end of these estimates, it's been like 38.5%. Now I did omit this outlier over here. It's 258%. All the other ones were included in that calculation, and in general they were more or less around like 40 to 50% or so. And in this case, if we were to add that amount onto current price action from the low, that'd put Bitcoin at about $25,000. So I do think that that's relevant to be aware of, even if the short term does confirm a bit of a short term trap. As long as Bitcoin's above about 19,000, or in this case 19,100, the momentum pivot, I do look at this as still a little bit more likely to try a move to the upside first, before likely coming down later. That's just personal opinion. I do not think that the pi cycle low will be the actual low, just personal opinion, but this can take a very, 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 very long time to play out. So ultimately, I think I'll just kind of leave my opinions right there. Looks like Bitcoin's going to try a bit of a bounce off that 19.9 level. So crisis averted for the time being. 10 minutes left to go. So that is good. And I think it's a good place for me to sign off as well. Maybe I just quickly talk about Bybit. They still have their promotion going on where if you use the link in the description below, then it will make it so that you don't pay any fees on market orders. So, or sorry, not market orders. You'll definitely pay fees on market orders, on limit orders, on maker orders. You will not be paying any fees, which is, just more money in your pocket. So I actually feel quite good to talk about a promotion like that. Of course, when it comes to leverage trading, if you don't already have like a good working strategy, it's not going to make up for bad trading habits in that regard. But hey, if you do, it's more money in your pocket. So good stuff right there. Other than that, I think this is a good place for me to shut this one off. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.